Welcome back to the Ecuador Insider Podcast. Jesse Bayer, Ryan Pemberton, Carl Marsan, and Brandon Podkova. How'd I do?
Very good, man.
Excellent. The pronunciation on that is not easy. Guys, I apologize. We have not done a show in a long time. We were just looking at, I think it was July. Is that what we
Something like that.
came up with? So, had a couple of retreats since then. We've been busy. We've been launching new businesses and doing different things. So, we haven't gotten back to this recently. We will be more consistent with it going forward. Welcome back. Thank you for tuning in. Speaking of retreats, we just wrapped up our second Vilcabamba Lifestyle Retreat, is I believe the name we went with.
That's right.
Really, it's been a lot of fun. We've done 2 retreats now. The third is when?
The third is on December 28th to January 6th.
So we got a holidays
retreat
on December 28th. The retreat is, we put a lot of work into kind of designing the retreat.
Yeah.
And it's really designed to show you life in Vilcabamba, give you kind of a crash course on Vilcabamba in the area. We want you to leave with all the information, right? So we've got expert panels, Q&As. It's kind of an all-encompassing retreat to see if life here is right for you.
That's right.
Some downtime. Anyways, December 28th, we'll throw a link below. You can sign up for that if that's something that interests you. And yeah, let's get started. So we'll be talking about a number of things today. Again, we haven't done this in a while. We'll do some updates. And let's jump in. We got a new face. We got a new face here, Brandon. We're really excited to have him be part of the team. Brandon's from Chicago. Comes from a litany of business experience. He's a Cubs fan wearing a White Sox hat. You'll have to excuse him for that.
Sorry, Dad.
But you want to talk for a second just about kind of introduce yourself?
Yeah, sure. Hey, guys, I'm Brandon. One thing I would say about the retreats, I wish you guys would have had the retreats when my family and I moved down here, because now after being here for 15, 16 months, I have an 11-year-old daughter and a 6-year-old son, my wife and I, it would have been a huge help for us. It would have created a ton of less churn in our lives, figuring things out and understanding things, how things work. Yeah. So it's really, really cool that we're doing this. I really wish you would have done it 16 months ago. If we had a time machine, go back and jump in the DeLorean and do some retreats from when I came here. Selfishly, that would have been awesome. Right. But yeah, it's my family and I, we're really happy to be in Vilcabamba. It's really cool to be working with the guys at Abundant Living that you all know so well. And a little inside tip, these guys are really the guys on the videos. So when I came down here, I thought, man, these guys aren't real guys. Well, first off, this isn't even real background. It's a green screen, and these guys are just pretending. No, these are the most authentic guys I've met. Like, they are who they are. Ryan, Carl, Jesse, they are who they are in the videos. They're really those guys. It's really congruent. It's really authentic. And that's been the most appealing and comforting thing making the big transition to Ecuador, has been having these guys in my corner, helping me out, helping my family out, being there. And it sounds a little cheesy, but after 15, 16 months here, these guys are kind of like the family I choose now. So it's really special. It's really cool. I'm really happy to be part of it.
Thanks, bro.
Yeah, thank you. And that kind of characterizes Vilcabamba as the authenticity of the people that live here, right? So it's fun to be able to walk around town and have conversations with people, and it's like people are transparent straight away, and that's really neat. Something that I didn't really experience a lot coming from the U.S.
Right.
Yep.
Yeah.
No, that's been one of the things that I like about it here most. There's much less pretense.
Sure.
Like there's not all those layers you've got to kind of navigate to figure out who someone is. It's pretty, as you said, transparent, kind of who you're dealing with, and there's all kinds.
That's right.
So you're dealing with this guy one second and that guy the next, and they're very different people.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So we may or may not be about to get rained on here. We're it's been an interesting year weather-wise. So we're in the middle of October, more or less here, which is normally the start of rainy season. We kind of didn't have a dry season this year.
We had 5 weeks where it didn't really rain.
Yeah.
When I've been telling people it's 6 months of dry season and 6 months of rainy season for you know, all these years, and really we had 5 weeks without rain, which is super unusual, but welcomed because everything stayed pretty green this entire dry season, and now it's starting to rain again. Like, we're in the rainy season already.
Yeah.
And from my perspective, this is my first time being through the seasons. It rained often, but not for extended period of times. There's not been many days where, even during rainy season, where it rained all day, all night, where you couldn't do anything. Like, it rained for a period of time in the morning, and then it cleared up and the sun came out, or it rained in the afternoon and it rained all night maybe, but then the sun came out in the morning. So it was nice to have it kept it really fresh feeling. It kept things green. So I wasn't disappointed in the rainy season or the dry season this year.
Yeah, for me the variable is sun, right? It's like how much sun we're getting. So I love the sun. I'm somebody who likes heat, likes sun. When we're getting, 4, 5, 6, 8 hours of sun a day, I'm really happy. When the clouds start rolling through, I'm sad.
Dude, cheer up. These clouds are gonna lift.
But yeah, normally, like, this year was weird. I think it was La Nina year, and it was this very strange year weather-wise here. I have heard in other places as well. But normally, like Ryan said, we get about 6 months of rainy season, 6 months of dry season. And typically the rainy season, and you were alluding to this a bit during dry season, but typically during rainy season, you're not going to get rain in the morning, right? So it'll be nice in the morning. You'll get sun for a good chunk of the day. And then if it's going to rain that day around 2, 3, 4 o'clock in the afternoon, as it's doing right now, the rain will roll through. And then sometimes it rains overnight, sometimes not. That's, again, not necessarily this year, but that's kind of typical.
I have a little anecdote about this. On our first retreat, we had told people in advance, this is going to be the dry season, the mountains are going to be brown. You got to get, because it does significantly get browner and almost not as pretty during the dry season. And so we had warned people, and we're giving an introduction presentation to our retreat group. And then we're kind of like, this is the dry season, it shouldn't rain very much. And then Ryan goes out of his way and is like, there's a little bit clouds on the distance, but it shouldn't rain at all. And literally 5 minutes later, it starts downpouring. And we all got a good laugh. The weather is changing, but actually it's changing for the better, in my opinion. And maybe it is La Nina. But anyways, I kind of like it more to have a little more rain during the dry season. You don't really need to irrigate your gardens as much. The trees are still getting some water, and the mountains stay green. They never really turned brown this year.
No.
And that was actually harsh, because I consider myself an amateur meteorologist coming from the U.S., but I was only using all of the charts and everything that all of the weather centers were putting out. So it was pretty easy, and they know it pretty well from any state in the U.S. what the weather's going to be like, unless if you're in the mountains in some random microclimate. But I come here, and I like, literally now, anytime I say it's going to rain, it won't. And if it's not going to rain, it's probably going to rain. So
that's fine.
Hey, we're up on this peak because it wasn't going to rain.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
It's so funny. It's very unpredictable here, and I kind of like that, actually. It's fun that way.
Yeah.
And you get to see it, right? So it's like, I don't know if so you're looking into Podocarpus there behind me. That's the national park. The weather comes out of there. There's often weather in those mountains, and then it'll roll through or not. It'll kind of come through a bit, and you could be raining over there and then sunny over there.
Yep.
And that's pretty typical. Well, let's get the fresh perspective. So you said 15, 16 months you've been here. So 15, 16 months, you come with, wife, 2 children, you've rented a couple of houses, you've done your visa. We don't need to get into all that now. We will interview Brandon and his family on the channel more in depth, but obviously you like it here, you're staying, but what's your sort of first perception, or what's your reaction a year plus into living in Vilcabamba, Ecuador?
Yeah, I mean, that's a super complex, layered question, but to summarize it, like, for very sufficiently, I guess, would be, I feel like we can breathe here. My family feels like we can breathe here, both mentally, physically, spiritually. It feels less stressful in general. It allows us to feel like we're living a more purposeful life. And my kids, I have an 11-year-old daughter, Isabella, and my son, Quinn, is 6, and they are thriving here. They're outside all the time, riding bikes to town, climbing mountains, going on excursions by the river. They're just loving being outside and enjoying nature. And that's one of the big things for my wife Tiffany and I, is that we wanted to spend more time outside. From the Midwest in Chicago, having the winters, it just got taxing and depressing to be stuck inside so often.
Right.
And here we're outside most of every day. We're literally outside. My kids are outside most of every day. They don't even, we have the kids have their Nintendo Switches. They barely take them out. In the States, there were times where we had to fight them to put them away, to get them doing other things. And here, it's like a last resort for them, if ever. So that's been really cool to see them grow and learn. And my daughter Isabella has picked up Spanish pretty fluently just by engaging with people in the community, which has been really awesome. They both play on the Ecuadorian Vilcabamba soccer team, is the only gringos essentially that don't speak Spanish, which is pretty cool. But they're really enjoying and getting to see a different culture, a different way of life. And then they're meeting people from all over the world. We've met people from Russia and China and Germany and South Africa and Taiwan. And I mean, you can go run the gamut, and you'd never guess that this sleepy village in the Andes Mountains in Southern Ecuador has such a melting pot of cultures from all around the world. And it's really special place. It's really cool to be able to experience that every day. And Chicago, coming from Chicago, was, that's a melting pot. There's tons of cultures. Here it's different. It's people leaving where they're from, from an extended period of time and coming somewhere brand new for a lot of the same values. You're going to meet a lot of people that have different spiritual, religious, political beliefs, etc. But there's this underlying thread that ties everyone together, that there's some core values that are really inspiring to be able to live yourself, and then know that core is kind of running through the community, that those are important things for everybody regardless of religion or politics. So that's been that alone has relieved stress from the States. I guess that's probably the biggest things, like being outside in nature, having less stress, having access to fresh organic food, clean water, being outside, having more time not worrying about some of the other things, because you can actually live here. And I don't remember which one of you guys mentioned it, but it's like the congruency of people, or their energy, the feelings. People are authentic here, and they're gonna wear it. There's no masks for most of the time. The people are who they are, and you can engage with them or not. And it's really cool because you can engage if you want to, and if you don't, nobody's pushing you in directions here. You're really comfortable and free to be part of something special or do your own thing, and that's cool too. So yeah,
nice, man. Thanks for sharing.
Yeah.
It's always great to hear fresh perspective. We live here for a while. Maybe we take some of those things for granted a little bit, right? You've only been here for a short time, so you can contrast with the U.S. And thanks for sharing.
Yeah, so it's like a lot of that stuff I think maybe kind of falls under the quality of life, category, which I think probably for me is maybe the biggest thing I like about this place. And it's interesting. You get when I meet with people who are new here, often the stress thing is what they express the most. It's like, oh, I'm slowing down, and I'm walking, and I'm doing yoga, or I'm getting organic food, or my lifestyle is just so much more relaxed than it used to be. You hear that a lot, and that's partly, I think, the culture of Ecuador in general. It's probably partly Vilcabamba maybe also, but you touched on core values. That might be an interesting topic to get into. Like, what, opening it up to everybody, like, what do you guys think? What are the core values that make this community special, like that run through, again, right, sleepy little town in the southern Andes of Vilcabamba, that's been this magnet for such a diverse group of weirdos, that we all decided to come down here and enjoy, But what are those core values? What do you guys think?
Freedom.
That's right. I was going to say also.
I'd say the one underlying commonality between every Vilcabambalite is that we all value freedom. Freedom from fill in the blank, but certainly a lot of people here are very strong in their belief system having to do with their personal freedom or sovereignty. These are, I think, buzzwords here in town now.
Yeah, no, I think freedom for me would probably be the biggest one as well. You know, I remember having this conversation with this lady some months or weeks back, where she came down, she was looking at property. I just kind of ran into her randomly, and then the person she was with, who's a friend of mine, is like, "Oh, he has kids, ask him," right? And then she starts asking, like, "What's it like here for kids?" And I start explaining, like, of course we have all the activities, so I started there, you know, which is cool for parents, right, to have, you know, a plethora of activities that you would have back home, with the difference being there's no helicopter parents. There's no like pressure within that of like, does little Johnny have the right jacket on, or did he stand in line properly, or, you know, did something happen that someone might get offended, or, you know, these kinds of things. And I remember the lady just kind of being like, oh, that's great. I'm like, yeah, my daughter, you know, she just walks to soccer, and she walks to this, and she walks to that. It's safe, you know, she's 14. Like, I don't worry about her walking around town, and you know, all the parents are pretty cool. Like, I remember telling her an anecdote, like, in New York, I was the weird parent, because I let my daughter, like, run around and do what she wanted, and I wasn't, like, you know, doing that all the time, and everybody's looking at me like, oh my gosh, you know, what are you, like, how do you, look what your daughter's doing. I'm, no, she's got it, she's good, like, you know, because I want her to learn and test her body and figure out those things. And I think that's normal here, right? Like, there aren't, you know, there isn't that sort of thing that you find back
free
home.
range children of Vilcabamba.
It's a little bit of that. There's a little bit of that.
But it is about community here.
Right.
I'd say that the people who are drawn here, I do have this idea or concept that they can be a part of a community, be known, enter and begin to socialize and feel that connectedness that maybe they're just not getting from where they're currently at for whatever reason. Of course, in the U.S., things are very polarized right now, and you know, it's probably across the world people are sensing that as well. So here, having some of those common core values that maybe, you know, like you were saying, religious, political views might differ here, but that common, you know, freedom and a place where you can go, where you are an expat, so you also have that in common, and then you can just socialize based on that level, and I don't know, it's really fun.
Yeah, and a couple things I would add to that is most people that we've met here are really empathetic and compassionate and much more liberal with their time than they were from my experience in the States, where people authentically help and want to help, and they're good and they're happy helping you with things you wouldn't expect help with, perhaps. So that's been really refreshing, actually, to see that. And then the cool thing for that is my kids see that now, and now they're organically becoming more helpful because they see other people, other adults or other peers that they see that are being more helpful or being more liberal with their time, and now they're being more helpful in the home. And so that's been a cool little mirror that I've seen change with them since we've been here. And a couple things with the culture in general and the values. So my wife and I spent a lot of, 6 or 7 years thinking through transitions from where we were in the Midwest, coming south and eventually landing on Ecuador, and we can talk about that another time. But for us, it did kind of all stem from really thinking about the values, and every day we would ask ourselves the same 5 questions. Who are you? Who do you want to be? What do you value? How do you want to spend your time? What do you want to teach your kids? And we thought through those answers to those questions, and taking those answers led us to Vilcabamba. And the really rewarding piece of that, after being here for 16 months, is that we're actually able to live that now in a very real way, and it's really cool to be able to live those every day without feeling overwhelmed and stressed, and we're getting to do that here. And in regard to the community, back in the States, you go home shopping, you're shopping for a house, right? You want to live in this neighborhood for this school district, and this place, this amount of bedrooms and these finishes. And in here, it's really cool because you shop for community, you shop for people, and you name it. It's like a smorgasbord of people. Anybody, you spin the wheel, any archetype, any personality, any belief, you can find it in Vilcabamba from any country. It's crazy.
Pretty much.
And it's really cool that because the values are aligned in a lot of ways, you can actually shop for community and instead of shopping for a house. And it's such a different dynamic here, being able to be with people that you like to be with and be neighbors. You know?
Yeah.
Good.
I just wanted to share a little anecdote because you mentioned helping people out and stuff. One thing that I've noticed recently also with my wife and women here, we're a bunch of men here talking, but the ladies here are like tight.
Yeah.
And they have these like Telegram groups and WhatsApp groups, and if someone needs something, like post a message and they get help. Like a lot of women give birth here. It's very common to do meal trains. People will come and deliver food. All the families make meals for you, and they put it on the schedule and come deliver food. We had that with our last child. When our daughter was born, we ate all this all these meals that people prepared for us. It was quite decadent, actually.
Yeah.
We got lasagnas and pizzas and
have more
stuff
kids.
like that. Yeah. And also if your kid's sick, something that I would say kind of represents a majority of people here. That might not be, of course, everyone, but a bit alternatively minded, alternative lifestyle, alternative ways of healing. Like people don't necessarily just want to go to the hospital when their son or their kids have some type of illness or something, right? So we're more like that in my family. And recently our daughter was sick, right? So my wife puts it on a group, and then all the ladies are like sending her this like potions and pills and ideas and like do this and do that. And I did it before, and send us with little doggy bags of different foods and different essential oils and stuff. And my wife does the same. If someone else is sick, she'll make little MMS and essential oil mixes and send it over.
Right.
This kind of stuff. Like, I just think it's wonderful.
No, it's great.
It's kind of a unique thing, and people are tight, and us men too. I think we're tight too.
I don't really like you guys very much, actually.
If someone needs to move or someone needs a hand with something, I think we're usually there for each other.
Yeah.
With each other out.
Yeah. And I will say, just because it is starting to pick up with rain,
Yeah,
I say
we're
we
getting rained out.
just commit, right? Let's just get rained out.
Of course.
and-
Well, it's not that
because it's actually really refreshing, right? Because it was a little bit warmer,
Does feel good.
a little bit earlier, and then when it starts to rain, it's not like you're, it's some like random Seattle winter rain or something, and you gotta like go into cover real quick. So it's bearable, but yeah.
No, I think we were talking, about common threads of values or whatever. I think that's really one of them, right? Is like people in this community are looking for community.
Right.
And
true,
you were talking about, like living with people you resonate with or care about or get along with or whatever. I would say a good number, maybe most, no, it probably is most. I'd say most people that move to this area are looking for some aspect of community living. Mm-hmm. That might be themed around one thing or another, but it tends to be, people tend to be looking for that, which is cool because, and I think the Ecuadorian culture plays a part in this too, for sure, rubbing us off on us.
Yeah.
But it's sort of a throwback, I think, in many ways to, you guys are describing sort of, the way people step up to the plate and help each other when there's issues. And I think probably the U.S. was like that 70 years ago.
Right.
And this culture is still like that in Ecuador. And then the foreigners that are in this area are also like that. And, that's kind of cool. My wife was just for the second or third time went to Loja the other day and is picking up boxes of mangoes and avocados and stuff and dividing them up with the ladies you're talking about.
Nice. That's awesome.
She knows where to get them for cheap in Loja. apparently.
Right, it's great.
She was getting nice, cost-effective
Yeah,
boxes. And
Right.
It's mango season. I will say, it's some of the best mangoes in the world
Oh, yeah.
come from the coast of Ecuador, and you can dry them, and they're better than any dehydrated, bags of mango from Costco that you can buy. So I'm looking forward to that.
Fruit here is on another level.
Yeah.
Oh,
Like, I didn't eat fruit back home.
I did not like mangoes until I came to Ecuador. I did not.
really?
I disliked them, and now I can't eat enough. I literally eat them,
Yeah.
especially when they're in season. Oh man, you can go overboard
Yeah, you
eating
can.
mango.
Yeah, you can.
But the prices, you're right. The prices. I have a friend Andy, my buddy, my vegan buddy from Chicago. I just bought 20 mangoes and 20 avocados for $10. $10.
Nice.
You kidding me?
Yeah.
Right.
And
No,
good
that's
ones.
great.
And they're phenomenal.
They're great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, well, we're getting rained on for real
It's
now.
coming.
My car keys are probably, in trouble over there. We'll probably wrap here in a minute.
Do you want me to just go grab the keys real quick? I mean, because this is fun.
You and Carl can keep going.
I mean, we've got other topics to talk about. I mean, let's bring up the fact that COVID is over.
Yeah, that's a great point. Go ahead. Yeah.
I mean, the president, about 3 weeks ago, declared that COVID is now over. That he believes that because of the compliance of the Ecuadorians, I think it was like 90% taking the both of the COVID vaccines, and most with some with the boosters that they were able to help overcome. And now COVID is officially over. Therefore, all restrictions are being completely lifted in all cantons.
And there weren't many
across.
left.
There weren't many left, but it was still like, unless if I guess the president really declares it, then I think some of the Ecuadorian people were still kind of holding out that maybe it was still gonna, take over like wildfire again. So there was still some, fear in the society here, and I think that's lifting. A lot of people are demasking, and so it's definitely a lot more cheerful. It seems like people are a lot more stoked on life here now. And
Real quick though, do they still require negative PCR tests? Because I know some of our viewers ask us the question.
Oh, I don't
No.
know the answer. I think that's gone now, right?
No, so you do not need a negative PCR COVID test, but you do need a negative antigen or PCR COVID test taken within 72 hours to enter Ecuador right now.
But no vaccine requirement. Let's make that clear.
Yeah, no
That's been the
vaccine
case
requirement, yeah. Just if you take
all the way back. But
the antigen test, which is less intrusive. So
But real quick, if you are vaccinated, you don't need the test. Is that correct?
that's correct.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. So there's that.
all right. Well, Brian wants to keep going. I'm too wet. I'm out of here. December 28th, Vilcabamba Lifestyle Retreat. We would love to see you there. Go ahead.
Well, I just wanted to do a
Just a
quick,
couple more minutes.
no, a quick
Let's
thing.
go.
A quick thing. We got some diehard viewers that are watching our videos, and some people have been asking what's happening? What happened with the retreats? Why is there not more videos coming out and stuff? And one thing that happened with our first retreat is the videographer who helped us, bless his heart, basically lost all the footage or most of the footage, so we weren't able to use it. It was actually quite painful, but we have a whole lot of footage from the second retreat, and we're coming out with some really good content. So I just want to let you guys know about that.
Yeah.
That's about it.
No, it's great. Go ahead.
Well, we're excited about the next retreat. The last one was a blast. They were all a blast, really, but we're getting better at it, and I think it's great. We get to meet you. You get to see real estate properties. You get to hang out with us, ask us all the questions. We hook you up with all the best professionals out here. We do a lot of fun activities, and just awesome. So if you're interested, please let us know. Comment in the section below. We're gonna have the link for the sign up in the description as well. And we hope to see you here.
And expect to see lots of new cool content that we've got in the pipelines.
Yeah.
You're gonna be excited about some of the stuff we got in the
We're
works.
committed
Yeah,
now.
no
We're committed
pressure.
now.
No pressure. Thank you, Brandon.
All right, guys. Have a great day.
All right,
Talk to
appreciate
you
you
soon.
guys tuning in.
Ciao.
See ya.